Welcome back. Here we are going to be deriving the formula for calculating amount when interest is compounded yearly or half yearly. So we'll talk about yearly first. So let's consider our principal to be rupees 100. Our rate of interest is 10% per annum. So we put per annum here. And the time period that we want to consider is 3 years. So with this basic assumption in place, we will figure out the compound interest for the first year. So we should know that the compound interest and simple interest for the first year is the same. Simple interest and compound interest for year 1 is same. So which means we have got PTR over 100. So P remains P, rate is R, and time is 1 over 100. So our principal was 100, rate was 10. So we get, when we cancel, it will be just 10 rupees. So rather we are placing the entire thing here. Amount at the end of 1 year, which is A1 for us, is the original principal, which is P, plus the compound interest earned in the first year. So compound interest earned in the first year is this value. So we're talking about 100 plus the compound interest here. So now if we factorize this 100 and this 100 is pulled out, which is placed here, we are left with 100 times 1. So 1 is the factor here, plus 1 times 10 over 100, which is written as 10 over 100. So we are left with the amount at the end of the first year. Amount at the end of the first year is this with us. Now we want to replace this 110 with PNR. So in general, amount at the end of the first year is our original principal times 1 plus R over 100. That is my amount. Now this amount will eventually become the principal for the second year. So this will act as the principal for the second year, which you want to call it as P2. So P2 is 100 times 1 plus R over 100. So we have to remember that 1 plus R over 100, 1 plus 10 over 100 will eventually become 1 plus 1 over 10, which is 1 plus 0.1, which is 1.1. So effectively we are multiplying 100 with 1.1. Since the multiplier is more than 1, so it will be a larger value. So that is how our amount is going to be larger than the original principal that we had. So we get rid of this piece from here. Now our year 2 begins. When our year 2 begins, we are interested in the compound interest earned in the second year. So compound interest earned in the second year will be the principal, which is going to be the amount at the end of the first year, which you want to call it as the P2. So this is my principal for the second year. My time again is 1 year because you only talk about second year. The period is 1 year. Our rate remains 10 over 100, which could be R over 100 when we do the replacement. So at the end of the second year, my principal, which is P2, plus the interest earned in the second year, that together will form my amount at the end of the second year. So my P2 is very clear, that is 100 times 1 plus R over 100. Compound interest earned is this entire value, which can be picked up from here and just placed here. So this is my compound interest earned in the second year. So amount at the end of the second year is the principal at the start of the second year and the interest earned in the second year. So if we do the factorization piece again over here, we know that this entire element and this element is just the same. They are the identical pieces. So we pull them out common. So we have this sitting right here. Here the multiplier was 1. So in the brackets we got 1. Then we have this plus sign, which is this plus sign here, and from here we were left with just 10 over 100. So now effectively amount at the end of the second year will become 100 times 1 plus R over 100 times 1 plus R over 100. So this effectively becomes 1.1. Even this becomes 1.1, which we could call it as 100 times 1.1 the whole square. 1.1 the whole square. So now we continue the same pattern. If you are going to continue the same pattern, the amount at the end of the third year will be, this is my original principal when we start. when we multiply with 1 plus 10 over 100, which means my multiplier is 1.1. So this original 100 grows at the rate of 10% when the multiplier is 1.1. So this is the amount at the end of the first year, which will act as a principal for the second year. Now this is again multiplied with 1 plus 10 over 100, which means you are again multiplying with 1.1. This will give me the amount at the end of the second year. This entire thing is amount at the end of the second year. Now if this acts as a principal and it is subjected to a growth of 10%, again we are multiplying with 1 plus 10 over 100, which means we are multiplying with 1.1. Effectively, my original 100 is getting multiplied with 1.1 the whole power 3. So this power 3 is ensuring a growth over a period of 3 years. So if we were to replace 10%, which was our original rate of interest, so my amount will look like the original P 1 plus R over 100 times the same figure here. So this the three dots indicate that this could go on and on for n number of years. So in general, if we wanted to generalize for n here, so if we don't talk about this, only this much is growth over a period of 1 year. When we talk about this much, it is a growth over a period of 2 years. When we talk about this much, it is growth over a period of 3 years. If we were to continue this for n number of years, so the power here would become n. So my amount at the end of the n years will be P 1 plus R over 100 the whole power n. Similarly, if the interest is compounded half yearly, we modify the formula to get it as amount would be P 1 plus, instead of R over 100 it becomes R over 200, because we are calculating interest after every 6 months. So if the rate of interest for the whole year was 10%, so half the year it should be 10 over 2, which is 5%. So this ensures that the rate gets divided by 2. In 1 year, if it is compounded yearly, the period is going to be just simple 1, n is 1. But if it is compounded half yearly and the time period is 1 year, in that time period of 1 year we will have 2 periods of 6 months. So this will modify to become 2 times 1, which means it will give me a 2. So this will modify to make the change which we are interested in. The R gets divided by 2, so it is half yearly rate of interest. The 2 times n, it simply multiplies the period as 2. If the time period is 2 years, so eventually there will be 4 periods of 6 months in this particular case.